Hello guys, welcome to this video. In today's video, we want to do a project with JavaScript called to-do list. So this project is for beginners and any other person that want to understand more about JavaScript manipulations and HTML. So in this video, we're going to create this to-do list such that we can add a new list of what we want to do, then cancel them when we have done it all. So I can add go to the market, go to the market. All right, so I can just click on add. So I'm going to have it accordingly. Anyone that I've achieved successfully, I can cancel it here, I can cancel it here, and I can also delete it. So this is what we want to do today. At the end of the video, you will be able to realize this good project. So guys, let's start. So I've already, here is where I want to do the project. Inside, I'm going to create a new folder called to-do list. So I'll just open this folder with Visual Studio Code as well. So I get the folder open up here. So for now, there's nothing, right? So I'm just going to create some folders inside here now. I'm going to create some files inside here, then we're going to start with HTML. So right here, I'm going to create a file, index.html. So right here, then I'm also going to create a file. Of course, we will need CSS to style our web page. So I'm going to call it style.css. right? And of course, we're going to need JavaScript. So I'm going to call it scripts.js. All right, these are the three files I need. We'll start with index.html, then we're going to bring up our HTML format. So I'll just click Shift number 1 on my system to bring out the exclamation mark. Then I'm just click on Enter to have this snippet, HTML snippet. So the project is to-do list. In the title, to-do list straight away. All right. So since we have our style here, I'm going to link it up straight away, right? I'm going to link it down here. So I'm going to call on link. And the name of our style sheet is called style.css. All right, so now our style sheet is linked. And the next thing we're going to do down here is to define what we want to do. So I'm going to have a general container with a class name container, a general div rather with a class name container right here. So you can just do dot, then the class name, then duplicate that. Then I'm going to have heading 1 that will answer to-do list. All right. Okay. Then, of course, we're going to have input field for user to type in what they want to add to the to-do list. So I'm going to bring up form input, then it's going to be a text, and I'm going to have an ID, right, of tax input. This ID, I will use it in JavaScript. I'm going to use it in JavaScript, so I'll just give it at once. Then I'm going to have a placeholder. The placeholder will say add a new tax. All right. So down there, we're going to have a button where user can click to add whatsoever they type in this input field. So I'll just bring up a button straight away down here. So button. Then I'm going to give an ID, the button an ID. I'll call it add tax btn straight away. Then this is going to be add tax, add tax. All right. And of course, we will want to display whatsoever the user add, right, below the button. So I'm going to have an ordered list with an ID, and on ordered list with an ID, call it tax list. All right, so I can just do UL hash, then press on tab. I'm going to have the whole of that. All right, so with this, I have everything I need here. The next thing I'm going to do before we continue, let's just get this and see how it's going to look on the HTML, as in on the web browser. So I'm using Live Server to open this. If you don't have Live Server, come to extension down here, then search for Live Server down here. Live Server, you're going to see this Live Server, right? Then you click on install. It's because I've already installed mine, that's why you cannot see the install button down there. All right, once you install the Live Server, you can follow me with what I want to do next. So I'm just going to right click here and look for open with Live Server, right? I can click there, then my project will be loaded for me. All right, this is what we are working on. So I'm just going to close this previous one. So this is what we have right away. This is just what we have now in the browser. So, and of course, you know, we need to style it for it to look good. This is the structure of the project. So let's go deep into the CSS straight away. So right away in the CSS file, remember we have linked it up here. We just linked it style.css, and this is the style.css. There's nothing for now. Be sure that it is linked up before you start coding your CSS. All right, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to bring asterisk a general style here. So I'm going to apply box sizing, then I'm going to give it a border box so that I think I should just bring this thing at the side, so we'll be seeing the changes of what we are doing. We can also know what we are doing in real time. So let me just shift this and minimize the browser as well, so we'll just be looking at it side by side. All right. All right. Okay. All right. We have it down here. So I have box sizing, border box. Then I don't want to have any margin anywhere. So I'm going to have margin 0. So I don't need margin anywhere. Then I'm going to have padding. That's entirely on the HTML body. The entire done. Then 0. Then I'm going to have a generic font size, font family rather. For this, I'm going to have Arial. Okay. I'm going to have Arial, then Central. All right. This is what I want to have right here. All right. So that is the generic style up there. The next thing I want to style down is the body. Remember that we have a body here, right? This body. That's what I want to style now. So I'm calling the body that down here. So I want it to be display flex. I want to display flex so that I can manipulate some stuff down there, and I want to justify center, so it's going to justify content center, so it can be at the center of the page right away. can see what is happening in the HTML. Then I can have align items center as well. So it will be vertically centered as well. Then for it to be vertically centered, we need to set the height to 100 view height so that it will expand. All right, so that will give us what we are looking at straight away. And let's have a background color to be somehow white, A4, 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 yeah. All right, so it's not white, it's not pure white, but something like that. All right, so now that we have cutting this to the center of the page, we're moving small. I'm going to style this container down here. The container down there is what I want to work on now. So I can go and call the container class dot container. All right, then inside the container, I want to set the width of the container. Remember that the container is the one holding everything that we want to display. So we don't want it to be too big, rather it's going to be portable. So the width of the container, then I'll give it 90%. All right, okay, 90%. Then I'm going to have maximum width, max width to be 500 pixels, 500 pixels straight away. So I think I should put border. So you're going to see how it looks like. Border, I'm going to give 1 pixels solid red. All right, so you see what we are doing, right? You see we just have that. This is what we are working on, and this is just what we have. You can just see that we set this all this way. All right, so I just put the border so you can understand what we are doing, right? So you can see what is happening. I'll leave the border for now while we continue adding some elements, but at the end of the day, I'm going to remove the border from the design. Okay, the next thing we want to have is we will want to have somehow background color or background. Let me use background. All right, some background that 1, 2, 3. We don't want it that, want it white, so that there will be a kind of difference from the main background color. Then let's have some paddings in the, since these texts are touching each other, we're going to have some paddings of 20 pixels, 20 pixels. Then we have something good. The design is coming up, some work time. Then we're going to have border radius of 8 pixels, 8 pixels. Then we're then going to have, let's have some shadow, box shadow to the design. Then we're going to have 0, then 4 pixels, 4 pixels, then 8 pixels. Then the color is going to be RGBA. That's what we're going to work on. RGB, RGBA. All right. Okay, so we want it to be, the shadow to be somehow dark. So we're going to have 0, 0, 0, and we want to make it somehow transparent of 1. All right, 0.1. So next thing we want to do, we want to align everything at the center of the box. All right, okay, exactly, that's what we're working on. So we have cutting this out there. The next thing we want to, you can decide to increase this max width, right? You can decide to increase it to what you want. Maybe you increase it to 600 or thereabout, so it's going to expand, something like that. I'll leave it 500. Okay, so now that we are done here, I'm going to remove this border. So it was used for visualization and testing. So this is what we are having at the end of the day. All right, so the next thing we're going to style, we have input inside there, right? We have this input, so we're going to style this input so that each way will look good. So I'm just going to call the input tag, input element rather. Then in the input element, we want to expand the width. So I'm going to call the width of the input. We're going to use cal to calculate the size. That's 100%, 100% minus 20 pixels. That's 20 pixels, right? That is the 20 pixels is calculating the padding of the container, right? Okay, sorry, minus 20 pixels, 20 pixels. All right, so is giving 20 pixels padding to the end of it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add some padding to the input box. So it's going to be somehow big. Then padding of 10 pixels, 10 pixels. So we have a bigger input. Then we can now add margin bottom so that the button can span down, can go down small. So margin bottom, all right. Margin bottom, we're going to give it 10 pixels, all right. Oh, sorry, it's margin bottom, it's not this, margin bottom, all right. Okay, so we have some padding. We can even make it 15 pixels. So we have something more expandable. So we have the to-do list. That's the head one coming down to well. So we can also give margin top. Also margin top to bring it down small. Margin top. Let's call it 10 pixels. See. All right. So we have that. Maybe will look good. So next thing we want to do, we will need to have some border on the input field. So we're going to have border. We're going to have 1 pixel solid, and we're going to give it this color. All right. Okay. So somehow printed. Then let's add some border radius to it. So it's going to curve small. So border radius, we're going to give it 4 pixels. All right, guys. So now we have our good input right away, and we are getting the design straight away. So the next thing we're going to work on is we're going to work on the button. Right now that we are done with this, we're going to work with on this submit button. Right. So we're going to call this element button. So button. All right. So in the button, we want to have a width of 100%. All right. So it will span. And we're going to have padding of 10 pixels. Then we're going to have this is padding 10 pixels. Then we're going to have the background color to be #28A745 all right, 28A745. All right, then I'm going to have color white. The color of the text should be white. All right. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove this border. I don't want that border, so we can call border none. Border none will remove the border for us. All right. So we just have the input. Then we can bring in border radius inside there of 4 pixels. 4 pixels right away. Okay, we have something good. And let's make the cursor, if we point on it, if we hover on the button, the cursor should turn to pointed. So we'll say cursor pointed right away. So now if we hovered on it, yeah, pointed as clickable event. All right. Okay, and also I want, if you hovered on this, the color should dim small. So we should have button, then over. We use the over element down there. Then we're going to change the background to, let's just dim it small from the original color. Let's give 218838. All right. Okay, so now if I open, yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. All right, so we have gotten this. The next thing we want to style is this UL element where we'll be displaying. If I add anything here, like so, and click on add, it will be added here dynamically. So let's style the element for now. You have not seen it, but let's just apply the style. Okay. All right. Shall we? All right. Instead, let us start working on the JavaScript first to be able to add element, then later we will apply the style to it. All right, so we have successfully cut the design for now. Then we want to start playing around in the JavaScript with the JavaScript. So if you have the script file down here, that's where we want to work on now. We'll come back to the CSS later. So since we have the add button, that is the add tags button, we're just going to like listen to when this button is clicked, right? Once the button is clicked, we're just going to take everything that's inside this text field, right, and dynamically display it here. Then not only that, we're also going to dynamically create a delete button and do some other logics. So guys, that's just what we want to do straight away. So let's go there. So first of all, I want to get the button, the add tags btn button, right? I want to add a listener to it. I want to get it. So document dot get elements by id, because by id the name, because we have specified an id add tags btn. So I'm just going to copy the add tags btn name, then I'm just going to go here and paste it right away here. Then I will add event listener. So dot add events listener straight away. Then the event listener we are adding to the btn is going to be a click event. So we're just going to listen when the user clicked this. That's just what we want to listen to. Then we're going to add let me expand this more while I shift this back so we can see. All right. So remember, a listener takes the type of the event and also takes a callback function. So we're going to specify a callback function, and the callback function, I'm going to define it here, add tags. So I'm going to define the function down here, right? So I'm going to say function, then add tags. Let me just copy from here, or I type add tags straight to it. So this is the function that we want to trigger anytime a button is clicked. So let's test it and be sure that it's working fine before we proceed. So I'm just going to log console log click and test it with the button. So what this is supposed to do, if I click on this thing, it's supposed to lock on the console, which I'll open shortly. Then you're going to see clicked, right? So let me open the console down here. I'll right click on the page, then I'll just go to console straight away. Then I'll clear what is there. So let's try clicking. Let me expand small. Let's try clicking. Click, nothing is happening, nothing is happening. So we're just going to check what we have missed. All right, let's check. So this is script. Let's check. Oh, we have not added this script. We have not attached the script to the HTML element, right? We have not yet attached it. For it to work, we must link it to the HTML. So down below the button, we're going to call the script tag with source. Then we're going to specify the file. So that is script. This is the name script.js straight away. So now that it's linked, we can go back and go and test it. So let's give it a test and a try again. So let's click. All right, you can see that this is locking now. Clicked. So as many times as I click, you'll be getting the count here. I've clicked it 7 times, 8, 9, and 10 times now. So that means our JavaScript is well linked and we can proceed in the logic we want to do. All right, guys. Okay. Let me still take it back to its normal size. All right. Since we have gotten this linked up and everything is fine, we want to start writing the logics of adding the tags and displaying the tags add. So the first thing first we need to do, we need to hit this input field and we gave it an ID tags input. So I'm just going to call const tags input equals to document.add.get element by ID, because we specify the ID to the tags input. Look at it. I'll just copy it from here. Then I'll come back here and paste it right away. So I've gotten it now. And also I want to trim the value, get the text and trim whatever that the user entered inside there. So I can just say const tags text. That is the text now the user type. So it's going to be tags input dot values dot value. All right, dot value. So I can trim it immediately. Trim so there will be no space in between. All right. Now it's assumed that we have been able to get the text whatsoever the user type in this input field. So let's lock it and check if it is true. All right. So I'm going to say input. All right. So I'll open the console again. So I'll just go to the console, then click on add. Then we are having some errors. Property of no trim. So that means we did not get the actual value of what that is entered. Oh, so let's check it out. What is the problem? Okay, we have tags input. This is dot value. All right. Okay, I guess that's the problem. It's supposed to work now. So let's give it a try again. Input, then check it. All right, you see we got the input here. Okay. Go to work on Friday. All right, if we click on add, we get the input right away. Go to work on Friday. All right, so even though there's too many spaces I keep, the trim function will help get rid of all of them. All right, so that is what the trim function does. It will remove every white space from the end and the start of the text. All right, so guys, we are making a good progress and we have been able to get the whatsoever the user type in there, then we are now to proceed. So first, we need to check, be sure that the user is not trying to add an empty, like empty by ID, get element by ID. That should be tags list. All right. So now that we have successfully gotten the tags list, right? I I want to dynamically create a list inside the UL. You know that we have the UL tag on other lists. Normally, we're supposed to have li, the list itself, but we want to dynamically create it because we don't know how many tags um, the user will want to add. So the best thing to do here is to dynamically create the list as the user add the tags. So I'm going to dynamically create it, but before then, I'm going to console log this UL so you see what we have gotten so far and what we want to do. So I'm going to call console.log, then I'll call it tags list down here. So I'll still open the terminal again, that's the console. Then I'll try adding a tax. So let me just go to work. You can see we have gotten this tax list just the way it is, right? Look at it here up there. So we want to dynamically create the list inside of it. So let's go there, guys. Next thing we need to do is I want to call cons, then I'm going to call tax item equals to document.create. The document is referencing the HTML DOM. That is why we always call the document. So document.create element. This is a function you use in creating a new element dynamically from JavaScript. So you can create as many elements you want and append it to the HTML DOM anywhere you want it to be. So guys, we're just going to create a new list item based on the tags the user had. So let's just go there. So create, what's the name of the tag you want to add? If you hover on this, you're going to see that create element text tag name called string and some options. So we want to create an element li down there inside the tags list. That is what we want to do. Then first of all, let me still lock it down. So you're going to have a look at it and know how it is. I'm going to call console.log, then I'm going to log tags list. So let's check it out again. Tags I just create on add. You see that one new tags list, the li is created, right? That this is the li. So now the idea is anytime you call this tags item, that means you are referring to li, right? And as such, we will want to assign any tags that the user have added. That is the tags text here, what that is cutting from this input field to this tags list. So I'm going to do tags item dot text content. Text content will put the content inside the li. So tags text. All right guys, so let's, by at this juncture, if you add anything, it's supposed to be added to the tags list. So let's check it out if it's correct. Okay, so we are having tags item dot text content equals to tags text. All right, this is the tags text we are referring to. Whoa. I need this to be on text. This we should follow the base way of naming variables. All right, this is how I want it to be. All right, guys. So we have the li. So I'll terminate this there. Okay, guys. So let's give it a try and see if it goes fine. Add, then click on add. Okay, nothing is adding. That's because we need to check what is the problem. Nothing is showing for now. Nothing is showing for now, guys. So let's find out what is the problem. All right, guys. So once we append it to the DOM, well, we're going to see it. So we just proceed and complete it. So the next thing we're going to do is for us to add the delete button, or maybe we just append it. So we're going to see how it looks like. All right, guys, to see the tags just added, we need to append the tags down there to the DOM itself. Then we're going to see the tags. So we can do that by saying tags list. The tags list itself to append. So tags list, we want to append these elements we just created to the tags list. It's which is this UL tags list. So we want to append it inside. Then we're going to get it. So we can say tags list dot append child dot append child. So what are we appending? We are appending the tags item, right? Append child will take a node of append child. We'll take the node to append. So we have appended it now. So let's give it a try and see what we're going to get. So if we click add now, we can have the element added. So we can add another thing called to work down there. Then you can see them added without style. Then take lectures right away, so we can add as many as we want. For now, we have not applied any style here. So we have successfully added tags. Now the next thing we want to add, we need to add a button at the side of the tags, right? Then we will go back to the style right away. So let's add button to the side of the tags. Then we'll definitely come and style this back. Or yeah, so the next thing to do is to add button. So we add the button immediately after this. Add button, add delete button. All right, so we're going to get the button. We're going to dynamically create the delete button as we did to the li tag. So first of all, we're going to say const. We're going to call it delete btn equals to document.create element. Then we're going to call it button. The tag name will be a button in a string. All right. All right, now that we have created the button, we need to add some text to the button and some styles to it. So we'll be calling the delete button delete btn dot text content dot text content. You can either use text content or inner HTML. All of them will still give you the same thing. Then we're going to call it delete. All right. Then we're going to style it at the side. Let's just see what we have first. Let's add something. If I add now, right, you're not going to see anything we have not, because we have not appended it. Once we append it, then you're going to see it. Like now, if we do tax, um, delete btn, sorry, dot append child, where are we appending the delete btn to? Then we are appending the, sorry, tax item, right, dot append this is what we are appending. Tax item dot append the delete this. So this will be tax item. The tax item we are adding in each of the airline. We want to append the delete btn. So we are appending this delete btn inside here. I was a kind of somehow carried away. All right, so we can give it a try down here. So if we add, you're going to see it here. It has automatically inherit the style we gave to the button. This style we gave to the button because we style it cleverly. This style, it has automatically inherited, but we will override the style where once we apply the style to it. So this is what we have. So let's continue and finish up straight away. We have added tax delete, as you can see down there. Then the next thing we want to do, we need to have some width, the size of the delete button, and as well we need to have the height. So delete btn dot style dot width. The width of the delete btn is what we want to define. We want to have it 150 pixels, 50 pixels. Then the height, delete btn dot style dot height. We want to have the height to be 35 pixels, 35 pixels, because you don't want it to be all of them in a string. 35 pixels. Then we still want to have the background color, delete btn dot style dot background, Note that the background is in camel casing, is equals, so we want to have it to be HDC 3545. All right, that's the color we want to put it. That's somehow red. Then we want to have the text color to be white. Delete between the style dot color is equals to white. All right, then we don't need to have any border radius, or border rather. Dot style dot border is equals to none. We don't need any border. Then we need to bring some padding, so that's delete btn dot style dot padding is equals to, we want to have 5 pixels, 10 pixels, 5 pixels, and 10 pixels respectively. All right, so the next thing we want to have is delete btn dot style. We want to bring the cursor to be pointed dot cursor equals to, we want it pointed. All right, pointer rather. Okay, so we have this, and next thing, now that we have had all these things added, let's give it a try and see how it looks like. Then if I add one and click, then we now have the delete btn being okay now with all the styles added dynamically with JavaScript. All right, guys. So the next thing we want to do is, you see, this input field is not cleared, right? So to add another one, you need to just delete by yourself. So we need to dynamically clear the input field, right? When the user finish adding. So down here, I want to say tax input, because tax input is the tax input is the input field itself. So we want to clear it at the end of every adding. So tax input dot value equals to empty. So let's give it a try and check it out. Down here, if I add tech lectures, it will clear. That's right. Then go to work on Friday, it will clear. All right. Okay, as you can see, everywhere is not arranged because we have not add style to this. So we'll be going back to the CSS to go and complete the style for this list. All right, let's go down there to the CSS right away. Okay, in the CSS, we want to style the li that we dynamically added. The li, this li that we dynamically created, that's just what we want to style now. So we're going to call li, first of all, ul, the ul, this ul on ordered list. Let's style it first. So we're going to call this style none. So we're going to give it none. We don't want all the style that showed up. You can see now the style has gone. This is what we are trying to remove. This dot at the side. All right. We want to remove